first part came from my fascination with an anecdote I heard about the initiation ceremony, which became the opening scene in the book From The Watery Deep. I remember when I first heard that anecdote, I was blown away, literally, and I felt, this sounds pretty dramatic. It sounded very, very incredulous, too good to be true, so surreal as well. And I just knew I wanted to write about that from the get-go. And another thing that fascinates me about the story is how everything seems to come full circle. Because if you read the book, you see that it starts with water and quite literally and figuratively ends with water. It starts from the Olokun River during the initiation ceremony, and as you read through the book, you also see clues about interference from the Olokun deity. And also towards the end, you see how everything ends with water, because this house that Pius built, which in a way is a symbol of the pinnacle of wealth, of affluence, of importance that Pius had reached, how that house gets taken away ostensibly by water. So I love how that comes full circle. It's almost like I have the beginning of the book and the end of the book, and I have all the space and I have the time to fill in the gaps with my creativity and peppering my imagination in the book. And so that was really fun to do. So yeah, I would say my fascination with the anecdote about the opening scene, the initiation ceremony, and just seeing how the whole story comes together nicely. Oh, thank you so much, Jeff, for saying that. That's such a nice compliment. Italome is not inspired by a particular individual. I would say she's inspired, or she's shaped by a collective of individuals, especially women. Women I've encountered, mothers, wives, friends, sisters. I would also say Italome embodies this quiet strength and resilience that most women possess, and they sometimes forget, I would say, to unleash or tap into that strength unless they're forced to. As you'll see with Italome's character, she was literally a strong woman. She had all these powers, but she didn't quite know the power she possessed until she had to use it. And so yes, that's what's inspired and shaped the character of Italome. I would say the most challenging part to write was definitely the mythology, because it was challenging because this is not something I experienced first hand. It's not also something I quite honestly believe in per se, but of course these are people's beliefs, and this is something that also comes from my culture, and I really just find myself drawn to it, and I'm fascinated by it, and that's why I wanted to write about it. But yeah, the mythological aspect of it was a bit challenging because I had to rely on my imagination a lot, and also rely on things that were told to me by other people, or things I read about or researched about. And so I had to weave in that element into the book in a way that felt authentic and seamless and relatable, and felt true to its origins. So yes, writing about the mythological aspect of the book was quite challenging, but it was rewarding. And it was rewarding because obviously the mythological aspect of the book, or that element, has become a core theme in the book From The Watery Deep. And so I'm happy I was able to explore that part and weave it into the story. Growing up, I was mostly drawn to African literature, Nigerian literature mostly. I grew up a lot on Chinua Achebe's books, especially Things Fall Apart. I remember we had the DVD collections then, and we used to watch it for fun. And yeah, I think I also did a thesis on that back in university. So yeah, I really love and I enjoy reading Chinua Achebe's, especially Things Fall Apart. And I think Chinua Achebe is such a wonderful writer, and his simple yet profound use of words, I love that. Also brilliant use of proverbs, numerous proverbs. I love that also about his work. I also remember growing up, one time I read this book, Dizzy Angel by Grace Osifo. That was such a beautiful, easy, captivating book to read. I really enjoyed reading that. And I think in a way the character and the story of Banji probably subtly influenced my flair for writing about, mythology and a bit of superstition. So yeah, I'll say those two for the purpose of this question. Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe and Gracie Osifo's Dizzy Angel. Easily Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I'm obsessed with her. I'm obsessed with her work, not her. Yeah, she has this ability or this talent to, vividly imagine things, vividly create stuff, characters, things that feel so real. I really, really love that about her writing. It's so hard to not get immersed in her work. And I think she's a wicked wordsmith. I like how she's able to give names or words to things that you probably didn't know could be explained, or things you didn't think could be described, or things that you didn't even think had words for them. She's so good at doing that. She does it effortlessly. So yeah, Chimamanda. If I had the opportunity to have coffee with her, I'll probably just sit there and bask in her aura and study her poise, and probably ask her questions about her creative process and how she's able to stay true to her authentic and bold storytelling style. I don't know if this is peculiar to me or if other writers do this, but I like people watching. I hope it doesn't sound creepy, but yeah, I do love to people watch. I love to observe people, and if I find someone or I meet someone who seems interesting, I like to ask them questions about themselves, about their lives. And I find myself in my quiet moments just meditating on people I've met or people I watched or people I observed, and just thinking about how their lives are or how they live their lives, what they do when they're home. And I find myself internalizing that and sometimes journaling about that, or keeping notes on those people and stuff they tell me, and I weave that into my story and my characters. So yeah, people watching, that's something I do to get into my stories and build out my characters. Patience. Writing has taught me patience. Writing has taught me to see things from people's perspectives, and also sometimes I find myself playing devil's advocate because I'm trying to get into people's minds and see where they're coming from, what their perspective is, what drives them, what makes them who they are. And for example, as a writer, I am a woman, and so I tend to write more about women because that comes natural to me. It's easy for me to write about a woman, a woman's feelings, or a girl. But as a writer, you have to be able to step out of your comfort zone, and you have to be able to pivot to write, for instance, about men, or you have to write about little boys or old men, and you're not a man, but you have to do it. Or you have to write about feelings that you've never experienced before, maybe trauma, or writing about childbirth, or things that you really don't know or you haven't felt. So I would say writing has taught me to be patient with people and to see things from people's perspective, even when their perspectives differs fundamentally or adversely from mine. I still have to put myself in the perspective, in their positions or in their shoes, to be able to write about them in a way that is relatable to my audience and to readers. Outside of writing, I love to travel to tropical countries. I just like to be by the beach, sipping a margarita, people watching. I just really love to be out in nature, just chill by the pool, read a nice book, and yeah, that's it. I'm very simple. Duh. From The Watery Deep by May Ailemen-Nnorom. Yes, I found myself recommending this book to a lot of people because, not just because I'm the writer, but because I think it's a really beautiful book. It's beautiful, it's haunting, it blends drama, history, romance, suspense, fiction, the whole shebang. It blends everything beautifully in this book, and trust me, it's a book that when you read it, it stays with you for a very, very long time. And but don't take my word for it, so go read it and let me know what you think. I would say just start writing if you haven't started, and if you've started, just keep writing. Write from your heart, write about anything that comes to you, any feeling you're feeling, write about it. Anything that you see or you think is worth reading about, write about it. Nothing's off limits, nothing's too weird. As long as it's not libelous stuff, don't write libelous stuff, okay? Yeah, just keep writing, write from your heart. And it's never going to be perfect. That's why we have professionals. So don't try chasing perfection. Work with professionals, whatever you need. If you need an editor, if you need a marketer, if you need a life coach, whatever you need to get your baby out